Hi everybody, it's Nikki again. I'm here to do part 2. Let me take a breath. 2, the Tandem T-Slim X2 with Basal-IQ and MiniMed 670G manual mode smart guard with low management features comparison. Part 2. I'm to a soft part. Basically, this is all going to be personal experience, personal opinion, lots of personal opinion, and no medical advice whatsoever. The reason I did these 2 sections is because I wanted to talk about, general thoughts about suspends and hypoglycemia and suspends and hyperglycemia. Again, my friend called out the fact that I really seem to be hyperglycemia focused, and I am, but it's because it's not necessarily as clear sometimes that it's a result of what the pump is doing. So I am particularly sensitive. Having had diabetes for almost 15 years, I do have some of those, the beginnings of some of those complications. I do have vested interests in minimizing the long hours at 200, 300, or whatever it is. And I really do want to know that my pump is not creating scenarios where I'm sitting like that. I guess that's really what it is. So I understand I'm diabetic. I still have to watch what I eat. I still have to watch my coffee. I still have to count my carbs and do all these things. But I feel like what I need from my pump is that it's going to help as much as it can help without creating more of a problem. So that's where I am with the suspends and hypo and hyperglycemia. In general, I think that most people who are looking at suspends are curious as to whether or not this pump is going to help them prevent hypoglycemia. Is it going to help them cut down the number of incidents? Can it help them prevent a catastrophic event? I think that those are kind of what we're looking for in a pump. I'll go through what I go through with these pumps. I don't know. I've had quasi-catastrophic events on all of my pumps. The T-Slim X2 and the Medtronic 670G. I think that I probably spend a lot less time low and on both of those pumps as far as really being able to avoid a huge fast crash. I think that's more of an issue with the sensors and the fact that the sensors are just a little too slow sometimes to be able to head that off. So that's life as a diabetic. However, having a good, reliable sensor is what I think is going to be the most important piece when it comes to suspends and hypoglycemia. I need a sensor that's fast as is possible with current sensor technology. That's basically what they've got. This is not a dual hormone pump yet. They don't have any other trick other than just to cut out your insulin. So on a fast crash, when they cut out your insulin, it's not, and they say this in all the books and all the literature and everything else, that this is not meant to treat a low. And that's important because you can't treat a low with the suspension of insulin. But having a sensor that is, that's fast and accurate and everything else is a really big help. As far as suspends and hyperglycemia, again, I need protection on both ends. I am terrified of the really big crashes. I've had some really nasty ones that can be really demoralizing. Never mind scary and all these other things. To come out the other side of one of these crashes, it can be really demoralizing and it can really leave you feeling very vulnerable. I definitely want a pump that's going to help me with those problems. However, I also need that protection on the other end. I did that for years where I ran my blood sugar high to avoid lows. So I know how to do that. It sucks and it's not very smart and it's not a good long-term plan. So what I want from a pump that suspends is one that can help me avoid a crash as much as is possible without sacrificing my numbers on the other end. So I will say that when it comes to trying to figure out what has caused a high blood sugar, anytime, right? Like those of us with diabetes or caretakers of people with diabetes knows that you can hit a 350 you know, and you can try to have an idea and maybe have an idea, but you could also have no idea whatsoever. I mean, like, it's just kind of, it could be scar tissue. It could be something that it's out of sight. You can't quantify it, or, you know, whatever. So that's true. However, when I spent my time looking at CareLink reports on the 670G, and as I was doing these observations, there are kind of patterns that I can look at. So for instance, I can see that if in the last 2 hours I've had 0 suspends, and a lot of times I'm looking at 2 or 3 hours, right? Because it can be that far back. But let's say in the last couple of hours there have been 0 suspends, and I'm now sitting at a 250. It's, you know, I'm pretty comfortable saying that 250 came from something else. It didn't come from my suspends because there weren't any, right? So it wasn't. So maybe I didn't get the insulin, but maybe that's scar tissue, or there was a kink, or there was an air bubble. I don't know if that's a real one. Or I under bolus for something. You know, I'm comfortable saying that my pump didn't cause it. On the flip side, if after 2 hours of, you know, a lot of suspends, an hour of suspends, if then I'm sitting at a 250 and I look back and I go, I haven't eaten anything, well, that in my mind is clear evidence that the suspend was the cause of the rise in blood sugar. Again, as much as I can possibly say anything in diabetes. So that is what I'm looking at. And because those highs can, you know, I mean, when I'm not low, I can go hours without looking. So I'd like to know that when I'm going hours without looking, I'm going hours at a 100, you know, or a 110 or something like that, and not at a 200 or 210. The hyperglycemia really is a big focus. How many times could I say that? Again, I guess about hyperglycemia, there are lots of things that can set the potential for a rising blood sugar. However, I don't think the main list is all that long, you know, like missing a bolus, underestimating the amount of insulin I need for a food, overeating, overtreating, having a pump malfunction or set problem, sickness, stress, hormones, you know, there are a lot of things, but really there's only a couple of categories, and a lot of those fall under not enough insulin. So when I'm looking back at suspends over the last couple of hours, that can possibly fall under the category of not enough insulin if I was suspended inappropriately, or if it was just, I mean, if it was based on the wrong number or a lagging sensor value or something like that, then that falls under not enough insulin. And that, I think, is really the big difference between these two pumps. I think frequently on the 670G, I did not get enough insulin, either through the suspends or through auto mode, different video. But I think that was something I ran into regularly, and it took me a while to figure out with the T-Slim X2 that it is going to give me my insulin. So give it a chance, right? You know, I'm very nervous, but give it a chance. Yeah, it's 8.5 minutes. I didn't say anything. Okay, so I'm doing 670G manual mode SmartGuard suspends versus T-Slim X2 Basal-IQ, and this is where I'm going to get into the algorithm. The suspend on low, below low, you know, overriding these two things, what the consequences of are overriding, what happens when there's a loss of sensor value, for instance, with drop signals, or required calibrations. I'm just letting you know in case you want to dip out now. I was gonna make an alcohol joke, but there was no reason. Okay, resuming basal. This is a lot of information. Other tidbits, thoughts, and theories, in case you didn't get enough for the first 15 pages. Helping it succeed. Tracking basal IQ. This is my observations. This is what I'm trying to do towards, you know, the 18th video I make on this. It's where I get down to the numbers, and then I'll give you the explanation with my 670G numbers when I get there. As if you're still going to be sitting here. Okay. This was video number 2. So I'll come back for 3. Thanks for watching. Bye.